Good morning. I'm going to do something again today that I haven't done too many times. I have done it a few times. I'm going to read somebody else's work. The title of my thing is called Ninth Wave, Barbara Hand Clow's Astrology for Now. And my little blurb, Barbara has been talking about the Ninth Wave and Carl Kalaman for some time now, and I certainly resonate with what she has to say from an astrological viewpoint. When I read her report, Scorpio New Moon, October 26th, 2011, in Mayan Magics, I knew I had to share it with everyone. Here's what she has to say about the time we are in right now. And of course, I will provide the link on YouTube in the more information or the memo. Anyway, let me read what Barbara had to say, and this is a report from yesterday, so it's really fresh. Global and individual balancing began with the fall equinox and was reinforced by the Libra new moon on September 27th. And now the time for truth and personal integrity has arrived. The Scorpio new moon's dark intensity reminds us to cleanse our emotions and see what still remains. Under strong Scorpio influence, everything gets destroyed that can't handle the hard and clear light of truth. Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, went direct on September 16th, the day before Occupy Wall Street began. So Scorpio cleansing is global. People are connecting to demand equal justice for all. This new moon is unusually influential because it arrives 2 days before the end of the Mayan calendar on October the 28th, 2011. We have reached the evolutionary turning point of our species, and we must each consider becoming intentional keepers of Earth. Those who continue to use Earth for their own desires with no consideration for the planet's multidimensional fields of creation are going to crash and burn. Those who accept their eco-sensitive creative mantle, the new aura of Gaia, are the new seeds for our planet's beautiful future. As October 28th arrives, the 9 underworlds of creation will rebirth many Earth keepers. This exciting new moon in Scorpio sets the field for the simultaneous culmination of 9 underworlds. The period from the new moon through midnight on October 28th will probably be remarkable and mystical, so I will examine it with great care. The creative agendas of the first 8 underworlds have been driven to completion during the intensely accelerated days of the universal underworld since March 9th, 2011. Many dualities are resolving as the allurement of oneness shifts the fractal fields, and many feel their personal design within this great cosmic weaving. The awakening of the cellular is complete, now that we realize that each cell is intelligent. The tree of life has borne fruit in all the species that evolved during the mammalian over 820 million years. These species discovered ways to share by discovering family bonding over 41 million years in the familial, and intelligence sharpened during the 2 million year tribal. Our hearts opened during the regional when we discovered the sacred, the numinous. We explored the desire to control and possess for 5,125 long years during the national. And then we sought security and comfort starting in 1755 during the planetary. Since the January 1999 opening of the galactic, we've connected ourselves by means of technology. And now during 2011, these creative developments are swirling us into a spiral of oneness during the universal. Our species will require hundreds, if not thousands of years to consciously process all the abuses that were the natural result of our rise to consciousness during the 16.4 billion years described by the calendar. Like trying to push a huge fallen tree erect, there is no turning back now. Now that we have attained fruition through these 9 phases of evolution, we will learn to respect the incredible intelligence of each cell, protect all species, value the genius of family bonding, admire the awesome power of mind, feel the power in our hearts, identify hierarchical power, bless nature's plenty, use technology as a tool, not a toy, and enjoy the bliss of oneness. We will invent the new world by co-creating reality in universal awareness. I am sure of this because I have faithfully followed the days and nights of the universal underworld this year. And I have seen irreversible new patterns taking shape. For example, the increasing bans on the use of nuclear energy for power. Now we are flying into the radical spiral. When this vortex calms down, we must identify what we have accomplished. Otherwise, we may not have the will and vision with which to go forward. So let's assess our progress, and then I will read this new moon to see how its field might help us embrace the simultaneous culmination of all 9 underworlds. Regarding a few issues this fall, Palestine requested statehood from the United Nations on the day of the fall equinox, which was a bold attempt to resolve the dangerous tension that festers in the Judeo-Christian Islamic vortex. The U.S. and its chosen allies have finished trashing Iraq and are winding down in Afghanistan. So they are casting around for other wars to guarantee business for the weapons manufacturers. On October 21st, Obama announced the removal of American troops from Iraq by Christmas, which inspired some wry comments in the October 22nd New York Times, quote, "The president's statement coming a day after the NATO air campaign hastened the death of Colonel Muammar al-Gaddafi in Libya, was laden with symbolism, making the ebb tide of a decade of American military engagements that began after the September 11th terrorist attacks. For Mr. Obama, whose rise to the White House was based partly on his opposition to the Iraq War, but who as president ordered a troop buildup in Afghanistan and intensified drone strikes against militants in the region, the announcement fulfills a campaign promise." End quote. War-weary Americans responded with little joy over this long-awaited moment, since senior Obama officials such as Joe Biden were already trumpeting the next new American way of war to citizens weary of ground combat in the Iraq and Afghanistan. Wow. The U.S. military spent only $1.1 billion in Libya and didn't lose a single life. Meanwhile, the U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder reported that his contacts in the war against the Mexican drug cartels told him Iran was behind the alleged plot to assassinate the Saudi Arabian ambassador in Washington. Stunningly, the next morning after announcing this bizarre plot, Holder and the whole Justice Department were subpoenaed by Congress to tell the truth about the ATF's, Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, involvement in providing weapons to the very same Mexican cartels. In a plan dubbed Fast and Furious, ATF is accused of selling thousands of guns to the drug cartels, instructing border guards to allow the weapons to pass through, and then dropping all surveillance of the guns once they cross the border. Weapons sold during Fast and Furious have been found in dozens of crime scenes in the U.S. and Mexico, and they've been used to shoot U.S. Border Patrol agents. See Fast and Furious 22 Shocking Facts about the scandal that could bring down the Obama administration on the American Dream website. As if somebody is mixing up two movie plots concocted in another dimension, Holder calls attention away from himself by saying he found out about the alleged Saudi assassination plot from the very same drug cartel that the U.S. was supplying with guns. For the average person, reality was really distorted during last month's lunation because the media mostly abrogated its responsibility by failing to fully report on the debate over Palestinian statehood, the gun profiteering scandals brewing at the highest levels of the U.S. government, and on the real motivation for the Occupy Wall Street movement that is now Occupy globally. As anybody can easily see, power structures built in the last 5,125 years are being assaulted at every level because the people are demanding their rights and opposing a future of endless war and financial deprivation. But all you get on TV is bloodied bodies of fallen leaders and abused wild animals. Going to the chart for the Scorpio new moon, there are signs the people will attain their rights. The new moon closely opposes retrograde Jupiter in Taurus, so Jupiter's earthy confidence expands the grounds this new intense Scorpio seed, and grounds this new intense Scorpio seed. Also, Jupiter is almost exactly trine Pluto in Capricorn, so the desire for happiness and joy is about all the people and not just the 1%. Since Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008, this dark dynamo has been transforming the industrial power structures of this world. Now this power is emerging within the global scream for fairness, with Saturn transiting Libra through fall 2012. Fairness is the theme of the new moon, because Pluto sextiles the lunation, and Saturn exactly sextiles Mars in Leo, which exactly squares Mercury-Venus in Scorpio. These are the go-go signature aspects of the closing Mayan calendar, since the Sun exactly opposes Jupiter exactly trine on October 28th. Some people fear, especially the haves, that these scandals and demonstrations could end up creating a horrible global bloodbath like the French Revolution. But this is not the situation, because what we are seeing is the beginning of the end of 5,125 years of male-dominant abuse. This is a profound global movement with Chiron Neptune sextiling Pluto and sextiling Jupiter, and trining the new moon. These great changes are very healing because they aim for a spiritualized world, not just a struggle for democracy that is managed for a fee by the elite. Jupiter will go direct at 0 Taurus on Christmas Day 2011, a day when many people will celebrate the incarnation of light. The most intriguing aspect in this chart is Venus in Scorpio squaring Mars in Leo, because the square is exactly 30 minutes before the new moon. Wow. This means the great Plutonic cleanse is going to be expressed by equal female and male forces. We've seen this marriage in many of the revolutions in the world right now, especially in Egypt. Venus in Scorpio, entered October 8th, urges the expression of deep feelings, such as feeling the right of all species. She is the lioness that protects her cubs. Mars in Leo demands total courage and loyalty to truth and all beings. He is the lion that opens the heart. With this square, I expect to see the beginning of a global cry for the protection of wild animals, especially in light of the hideous massacre in Zanesville, Ohio in mid-October. The beautiful and passionate joining of male and female force during this new moon is like manna falling on the freedom movements, exactly the personal power that can carry the force during the simultaneous culmination of 9 underworlds. Saturn in Libra exactly sextiles Mars and... Oh, I already read that. No, I didn't. Saturn in Libra exactly sextiles Mars in Leo. So this potent Venus-Mars square is stabilized by Saturn's struggle for justice. Each one of us will play a personal role in absorbing this culmination because we are the reflective aspects of evolution. The energy in the Occupy movement is so strong and well linked by social media that it can bowl over the resilient or the resistant elements of the powers that be, as we've seen in the Middle East. The elite clutches for the old safety systems of the national, planetary, and galactic underworlds. However, their greed has stolen the people's future, and people who have nothing will revolt. Mysteriously, a huge coronal mass ejection shot out of the sun on October 22nd that will blast Mars on the day of the new moon. During the culmination of the calendar, very unusual events have been going on in the solar system, and the sun has been very expressive. For example, a few months ago, a corona mass ejection blasted Comet Elenin into pieces. The comet that some said was the comet of chastisement in Revelation. Ironically, the CME that will blast Mars during the new moon could herald the end of war in a real way. You should be watching the sun on spaceweather.com right now to see if another CME might seriously affect the solar system. A question for the calendar culmination is, how much will people really understand about what is actually going on? Ironically, plenty. Mercury is very close to Venus as she squares Mars, so potent mental comprehension is added to the visceral knowledge between male and female forces expressed by Leo Mars squaring Scorpio Venus. Notice that these planets aspecting Mars will resonate with the coronal mass ejection as it strikes Mars. Mercury gets to within a second of Venus on November 2nd, when they both move into Sagittarius together. Bingo! Comprehension about the real truth in our primary relationships is going to explode. Many partners will have to deal with unresolved elements in their relationships that hold them back from supporting the huge cleansing of human history. Ouch. Do not kid yourself. We all carry these shadows. And this chart says we must clear them before they backfire on us. Mercury carries this admonition through November 2nd, and then Mercury goes retrograde November 23rd until mid-December. As annoying as Sagittarian fire can be, it exposes the lies. Regarding deceptions, Neptune goes direct November 9th, returns to Pisces in early February 2012. So elevating conflicts to the spirit level resolves things very well in subtle ways. But don't forget, spirit won't help you if you are lying, especially to yourself. This new moon is the night when I'd love to hear the pillow talk in the White House. Lastly, Uranus continues to square Pluto, creating a force that is causing the people to rise up in discontent, especially with Pluto having gone direct just before Occupy Wall Street began. Since there will be 7 exact Uranus-Pluto squares during 2012 to 2015, this movement has only just begun. Please consider this idea. Debt is not a necessity. Debt is a technique used to weaken the populace by skimming off public reserves for the agendas of the rich, such as wars for profit. Wall Street has stupidly exposed this abuse, so now the people know that total slavery, a sort of return to a feudal age, is what will happen if debt enslavement continues. Debt enslavement is not the same as using capital to create projects which is a technique that creates energy. Pluto will have its way in the destruction of the structures that strangle Earth, and Uranus will activate the forces of transformation that will bring resource usage back into balance. The fascinating thing about this juicy new moon right at the end of the calendar is that it shows that all this energy must run through each one of us, through us, within our partnerships, and within the brave freedom fighters in the streets. It would seem that the flaring sun is making sure we get enough energy. 20 minutes. That's the conclusion of that article. I was going to make more comments, but because it took 20 minutes to read it, I'm going to stop for now. Tomorrow is the final day in this ninth wave, and I will be doing a video then, and I will continue at least through 11/11/11, doing the daily videos for those of you that have been asking and wondering. Thank you again for listening, and namaste. May your day be beautiful. Thank you very much.